Welcome back to the John Fourcade Show. One of our John Fourcade specials this week, a 2015 Ford Focus, $179 per month lease. Again, a 2015 Ford Focus, $179 per month lease deal. Can't find a better deal than right here at Veterans Ford, right here in the heart of Metairie. We're back here on the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford. I'd like to take you along with John Fourcade. John, we're down to the final four, so to speak, and Brady Manning, one more time, 17 times they've played. That's going to be the 5th time in this type series that they play for all the marbles. And I said this last year, I know guys our age that will never be another head coach and quarterback that will go to 6 Super Bowls. Brady and Belichick could make it 7. I know one thing, anybody listening or hearing this program, you never in your lifetime, I don't care how young you are, will never see that happen. These were the 2 best teams in the AFC, almost from start to finish, and this is how it comes down to be. Unbelievable that Brady leads the series 11-5. And you know what? I got a feeling it's going to be 12-5 when it's all said and done.
You know, if you look at these 2 teams, they're both 13-4, and you look at the way they've got there. Denver's got there strictly by their defensive unit. Even though they have a Peyton Manning on their team as their starting quarterback who was benched, you know, for the last 5 games, basically. And you look at it and say, wow, I mean, that's how Denver got their strictly defense. And my nephew Taylor said, you know, defense wins championships, but you better have an offense. Then you flip it over to New England, who's doing it with their offensive unit. They got a decent defense, but it's still their offensive unit because of Tom Brady, without even a running game. If you watched the game the other day against Kansas City,
what running game?
They ran down the field. They went down the field the first series, and I think it was 11 passes in a row. They scored touchdown. They only ran, I think, 13 times the whole game for like 30 yards maybe. But you look at these 2 teams, and they built differently. One's strictly by defense without even having a good quality quarterback. The other one's built by having a good quality quarterback and a lot of injuries. So it's going to be a battle, but I'm with you. I do believe it's going to be 12-5 instead of 11-5.
You know, one of the things with Belichick, and I think before the season started, and they were a top 10 defense this year. Yeah. And man, I look at it, they've had a lot of injuries, comes into play, but they seemingly come up with the big play. Each game. When they need a play defensively, they come up with one. But, man, what's so unbelievable to watch is Brady's speed to get the ball off so fast today. You're talking about a guy in his late 30s that can throw the football that quickly. Kansas City was after him. They just could not affect any of his throws. Edelman in the lineup made a huge difference. And if anybody doesn't think that healthy Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end in pro football, you ain't watching. Because, I mean, there's no question what Gronk can do out there, but Edelman in the lineup makes all the difference in the world.
Mike, when you saw the game, I think he went 11 passes thrown. I bet he threw 6 of them to Edelman. I don't know if they want to get him back in the rhythm or whatever, but he makes a difference in the game. And it's not like you can't cover the guy. He's not like going to blow you away. He's just right there for you, but he knows how to get open. And you were right about Tom Brady. They put the clock on him. He's the fastest quarterback getting the ball in and out of his hand, 2.2, 2.1, whatever it may be. And that's amazing for his age. And he ain't the mobilest guy out there. He doesn't have the swiftest feet in the world. But you know what they do? He just says, guys, I know we don't have the best offensive line. We got a lot of injuries up front. But give me 2.2 seconds, and I'll get the ball in my hands. And nobody can rush quarterback getting there at 2.1, 2.2 because he's getting the ball off.
You know, the things is, I give Peyton Manning a little bit of credit in this game. Coming off the foot injury like he had that basically limited him in the latter part of the season was he had 7 drops in the first half. Come on, if you're going to beat New England, you cannot have a repeat performance by your wide receiving core. I mean, he was hitting them right smack dab in the hams. You got to make those catches. When you have 7 drops in one half, man, that's unbelievable that you win a game. I give the Steelers a lot of credit. Without their top running back, without their top receiver, they hung in there, you know, and they fought, you know, tooth and nail like grim death until finally kind of losing out at the end.
Well, you lose that fumble.
Yeah, and that was the key.
But you made a comment there about drop passes, and boy, and you got the Michael Irvings out there and the receivers who are all going, wait a second here, man. You see how he's throwing these balls?
Oh, come on.
Let me tell you something right there. Receivers can catch anything thrown your way. I don't want to hear about the ball came out this way. What about the balls that were hitting them in the gut and they were dropping them? So I'll tell you this, but maybe 7 passes would drop, maybe 5 should have been caught, 2 might have been so-so. But I'll say this much: if you're dropping balls like that, I don't care who's quarterbacking or whatever, you can't win football games dropping balls like that. Just ask Tom Brady if he had 7 drop passes and in football games. And they still won the game, Denver. Pittsburgh hung in there thanks to a fumble. But I'll say this much. I didn't think Peyton played that bad in the football game.
No,
he did the job.
I thought he did a solid job.
Phenomenal job. That's all they're asking for him right now. Get us to the promised land. We'll worry about next year later.
And then we jump to the NFC, and if you wanted to see a wild game, just watch the fourth quarter. When Arizona Cardinals played the Green Bay Packers, it was a wild and crazy game. And then it was a tale of 2 halves with the Panthers and Seattle slugging it out. The Panthers hung on. Again, we look at these 2 teams. Weren't these the 2 best teams in the NFC all season long? And it ends up being the showdown between both of them. We'll start with Arizona first. John, I'll be honest, I didn't think they played particularly well against a Green Bay team that was beat up. I thought they lost the battle in the trenches. And they got a crazy play. Give Aaron Rodgers all the credit in the world. He hung one up there that was caught in the light, so to speak. That's where they really missed Tyrann Mathieu. Man, you saw Johnson, he was flat-footed. He was actually kind of watching Patrick Peterson try to make the play on the ball with Janis, and they come up with it. But when it all said and done, Fitz came through from Larry Fitzgerald, one of the great receivers in the game today, still one of the top receivers. 2 huge plays late in that football game.
Okay, I'm going to talk about that real quick. You want to talk about Fitzgerald making the big play, but folks, I'm going to say this, I'm going to go on record. If Carson Palmer doesn't do what he did in the backfield when he's spun around. Now, he ain't the swiftest of feet and the mobilest quarterback. He's no Cam Newton. But that's the guy that made the play on that play. I mean, God almighty, when you're rolling screaming to the right, DBs lose guys all the time. Fitzgerald didn't do anything. He's wide open. He should have caught the ball and ran down the field. I'm going to give him credit. It came because Carson Palmer. Now, talk about Arizona. I didn't think they were that great of a team this year. For a second there, I thought Seattle. I thought Carolina. I was thinking Green Bay for moments because I watched Arizona play a couple of games. The Minnesota game at home, Cincinnati game at home. They had to go to overtime and went at the very end of the game to beat those teams. And then play a Green Bay team where it's a prime local. You're at home. It's for the championship to play for the championship.
They were flat.
And they were flat. They were out of, they beat them 2 weeks ago and spanked them. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if they can go into Carolina. There's some things about Arizona that doesn't set me off right now.
They're a totally different team without Matthew in that secondary, too. One thing with Honey Badger, if it was play against the run, the blitz, or the deep cover pass that we saw, their other safety just kind of watched the ball come around there. They're a different team defensively. I give them a lot of credit, though, getting to the NFC Championship game. Carson Palmer, I thought for 3 quarters did not play well at all. He seemingly was off with his throws. He made that one super maneuverability play to get the ball to Fitz, and then Fitz did something that we don't see him do a lot. He ran around traffic. He's not noted for that sort of thing. And then Carolina, man, before you even blinked, it was 14-0. They got that possession, bang. Jonathan Stewart runs it down there. They get a quick score, and then bang, Luke Kuechly makes the interception. Before you could sit down, good as 14-zip, then all of a sudden Seattle's doing all kind of crazy things. They give up a chance for a field goal, which they would have got. And then late in the first half, they missed on a deep field goal of 55 yards. But then it was almost like they flipped the switch. They came back and really had a shot at it at the end. But again, it goes to show you Carolina as a football team, they'll beat you 20-17 or 41-34, however you want to play. They're willing to do it. Got to give Cam Newton a lot of credit too. And that defense, man, Russell Wilson saved their bacon for Seattle, because how many times Kawan Short, Star Latouille blew into the inside pocket and would have had a caught guy like Carson Palmer. He got away and either threw the ball away for an incomplete pass or he made the completion.
Well, that's the whole thing about Carolina. It's their defense. And Cam did not have a great game. He didn't have to when you start up 31-0 at halftime. And then basically he just played, adequate enough not to lose the football game. And then they started panicking there in the fourth quarter when Seattle came back. But it was a tale of 2 tales. The first half was won by Carolina, thanks to Seattle for all their mistakes that helped them get that league. But overall, look at it this way: it's going to be a battle of defense. I don't know if it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I think it's a high-scoring
I think it's going to be in the upper 20s, might be in the 30s before it's said and done.
One thing I know is Josh Norman one-on-one with Larry Fitzgerald. I think he can do the job.
Yes.
But that other cornerback and those 2 safeties for Carolina with Coleman and Roman Harper, man, if they give Carson Palmer any chance to throw the football, John, they're going to get burned.
Yes.
But we've seen it game in, game out. They don't do a great job on the coverage part. The bad thing is you just can't, kind of manufacture protection. Right. Because of the way Carolina can come after you from so many different ways, from in the middle and then Addison coming off the edge. It's
going to be a battle up front. I think both defenses can present problems for the opposing team, and it's going to be a game for the ages to sit and watch, and I'm looking forward to it this Sunday.
I think the key is those two big defensive tackles. Can Arizona match up blocking Short and Starr? If they can't, then it's game, set, and match. It's Carolina big at home. I have a lot more here on the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford.